No, I should have probably prepared bullet points for this, but I just didn't. So bear with me here. Hello. I am currently in the process of waiting to see if I can get my study permit to be up here this fall to start my master's program. Anyway, what sparked me to make this video real quick before we get into it is that my coworker asked me how things are going. And usually my answer for the last few months has been taking it day by day, still waiting. These things take a very long time. She said that she had seen something online, or like a news post or something online, where it said it's now easier than ever to become a Canadian citizen. And she immediately was like, but I like thought of you and was like, Amanda would probably highly disagree with that statement, and I definitely do disagree. However, I don't know what that had to do with, right? So I don't know if that had to do with finding a work permit or studying or whatever. All I know is my experience, so I can't speak to anything but that. So here's the deal. I came up here as a visitor in October. I'm currently staying with my partner in the province of Quebec. Now, if you don't know, as a visitor in Canada, you cannot stay for more than 6 months at a time. If you would like to stay for more than 6 months at a time, you have to apply and ask the federal government to stay longer, and that is a whole process in its own. I got an immigration lawyer involved and connected with her so that I could make sure that I was doing everything exactly the way that I was supposed to be doing, make sure everything is legal, make sure I don't miss anything, because the process is confusing, dude. It's so confusing and vague and weird. I have been here since October. I applied sometime mid-December, I think, to extend my stay as a visitor here because I wanted a little bit more time to stay with my partner. I have my cat up here. That's Mr. Bob. Other names include Bob, Mr. Bobs, Boca, Buggy, Missile also. But anyway, I came up here with him, and I wanted some more time to stay with my partner, spend time with him. I wanted to make sure that him and my cat really got acquainted with each other. They were comfortable with each other because my cat is my child. I came up here, things were going really well. We realized that we cohabitate really well. And so my immigration lawyer brought up the point of me applying to go to school for a master's. You know, if you want to stay and also further your career, because that's always been, you know, one of my main focuses is trying to move forward in that. It's been almost 10 years that I've been with the company that I'm with right now, and I'm sad to move on, but I'm excited for what is in store in my future, and also maybe a little bit more money a year. So I was like, okay, well, 2 birds, 1 stone, right? I can further my career, go back to school, stay with my partner, move on with my life, do my damn thing, you know what I mean? I applied for a few universities here. I applied for 4 programs total and got yeses on 2, no on 1, and the 4th one remaining I still have not heard back from. One of the 2 yeses was for a master's program. If you're not familiar with the process of getting a study permit in the province of Quebec specifically, because what you need to know if you're trying to do this or if you're just curious on the differences per province, is that Quebec has a specific thing called a CAQ saying that I'm allowed to go to school in this province. So that's the first step in the process. The processing time for that can take anywhere from 6 weeks onward, depending on your personal situation. 6 weeks would be the best case scenario that you would get it. And so a lot of waiting. But the deal is you got to apply for the CAQ, which involves obtaining a lot of paperwork. And the main thing with that is they want to know that you have the financial capacity to stay here. They want to know that you have the money to pay for your tuition, your living expenses, your settlement fees, your travel here and back after you're done studying. They need to know that you can pay for yourself and that you're not just someone who's trying to get in through a study permit and then drop out and go rogue in the country, right? They want to make sure that you are vetted for and make sure that if you yourself aren't paying for your own travel and studies and everything, There's something called I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's a form that somebody like a partner or close friend or family members that you have in the country or someone to financially support you during the process. So basically, they just need to know that you have the money to be able to do what it is you're applying to do. And it's not cheap. I am eternally grateful for my partner providing paperwork and things like that from his investment accounts, his savings accounts. I am applying for student aid, like financial aid and that kind of thing. So the best situation is that my financial aid pays for my tuition and we just have to take care of everyday living expenses, right? There are differences per province that you need to be aware of or make sure that you educate yourself about before you apply for things. Because these things take a very, 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 very long time. Something that I knew but didn't understand myself in my own situation. Like I felt for immigrants, people who have immigrated to America, for example, but I didn't quite understand just how long and vague and weird and scary, risky. I wish that I could take what it is that I feel in my body and just put it through the camera so that you can feel what it feels like to be essentially untethered in a country that you are not a citizen of. Now I want to be very, very clear that I'm here legally. I have an immigration lawyer. I'm making sure that everything that I'm doing is legal, that the last thing I want to do is accidentally, mess my situation up, doing something that I was not aware of, was not okay to do. The situation is very that. There are a lot of things that you could potentially do that would ruin your chances later on of doing something else. So it's very, 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 very important to get a professional involved, somebody who can guide you for your specific situation. You have to do that. You absolutely have to have a professional by your side, and it is 100% worth the money, okay? Please, for the love of God, do not try to do this by yourself. You could potentially get yourself in some dead ends, in some unfortunate situations that you did not mean to get yourself in, and set yourself back years. All this is to say that I did not really understand how anxious and untethered I would feel during this process. And knowing that my situation is actually pretty fortunate, I have someone here who's willing to financially support me. I have, a partner who is good and healthy and committed, and I want the same thing, and that's working out well. Great. But I think about all the people who are trying to do it just by themselves, and I can't even imagine trying to do this without the support that I have from my partner and his family. So I'm eternally grateful for that, and I recognize and acknowledge that I'm in a situation that a lot of people would probably pray for. However, that doesn't make my situation any less scary and anxiety ridden. It doesn't make it any less crazy feeling because I've never moved to another country before. I have always been an American citizen, and especially with the political situation that's happening right now and the war and all of this bullshit going on, I have known that I've always wanted to move away from America. I have always kind of been punk rocky in my head a little bit. Right around when I was 14, 15, I started getting into spirituality and learning about the Buddha and spreading my wings and breaking out of that Southern Baptist mindset that was taught to me. And ever since then, I've just known that America is not it for me. America's not it for me. Guys, there's just so much involved with this process that you don't really know until you get in the weeds of it and you realize how many weeds there are. I have been having dreams every single night of the worst possible case scenario. My anxiety is going crazy. I am in therapy and I do have medication for my ADHD and also medication to help me sleep, which definitely helps a lot. If I didn't have these medications, I would probably just be a shell of myself, not being able to function or live a life. But anyway, I kind of went off on a tangent here. It's kind of hard to organize all of these things because it's just so, I know that a lot of people, by the time they realize that they don't want to be in America, it's too late. They have kids, they're married, or they have a house, they got a mortgage, whatever. I don't really have those things. I mean, I lived by myself in apartments for years, and in the last couple of years I lived with my dad for a bit so I could just not have to pay rent. I knew that I was prepping to actually pull the lever and get up here and do the damn thing. And so I lived with my dad for a bit so I could save up money, and also just not pay $2,000 of rent per month for a 1-bedroom apartment. Right? Like, what am I going to do with that? And I'm not going to lock myself into a 12-month, 15-month lease when I know that at some point between now and 12 months from now, at that time, sometime, but in this year, I'm going to go. So I can't lock myself into a lease, right? This whole process has really just been a series of letting go and becoming the most untethered state I've ever been in my life. And it's scary. It's scary because my fail-safe, my rock, my foundation, my fallback has always been that I have a job, I have my own money, I have my own apartment, and I'm getting by, right? I can take care of myself and my child. He's so cute. For the first time in my life, I am having to let go of what has kept me emotionally safe. And it is, not just dealing with the anxiety of the actual applications and the processing and the waiting and the whether or not I'm going to get a yes or no. Like, of course, there's the anxiety with that. But I'm also dealing with a lot of mental and emotional and spiritual change and shift that I've never had to process ever, never had to actually deal with in my life. And while I am extremely excited for the person I'm becoming and the character development that I'm going through, it is not easy. And it is not something that I would tell somebody to do willy-nilly. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is something that if you begin this process, you need to know that this is genuinely what you want for you and your life and for the rest of your life. You have to know that it is what you want, because there is a lot of money being thrown out, being tossed around that I may or may not have, putting on credit cards and all this stuff. There's a lot more involved than just asking and getting a yes or no. So you need to know that you are genuine, like you really, 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 really want this before you start the process. That's my main piece of advice. The process is not straightforward. The process is vague and confusing, and that's not to try to scare you out of going for it if that's what you want to do. I'm not advocating for you to impulsively make this leap, and I'm also not trying to make you fear doing so if that's something you've been wanting to do. But you need to have your ducks in a row. You need to cross your T's and dot your I's and make sure that every little detail is in place. Make sure you get a professional by your side so that they can guide you for your specific situation, because not everybody's situation is the same. I guess I just wanted to talk about my experience. I haven't made a video specifically talking about this, mainly because I'm afraid to, I guess. In some ways, I'm scared to talk openly about where I'm at in the process and all of that. But honestly, why not? Why not share my experience? This kind of video, this kind of content is something that I wish I could have found and watched and had when I started this process, when I initially went through with the process and got it started. I wish I would have had this, but all I could find online was like eHow style videos that were very vague and just told me to go to a website and figure it out, essentially. And I get why people can't give specific advice, but I just didn't really find a lot of content that was just people talking about their emotional experience, how they feel, how the process makes them feel, and what the day-to-day of that is going to look like. You know what I mean? It's scary, it's weird, and I've processed the emotions of it in different ways throughout the last few months of being here. And yeah, so where we're at right now is that I'm waiting to see whether or not I get accepted for my CAQ. That's the first step in the process. After that, I will need to leave Canada and return to the States for a while to apply for my study permit, the federal level study permit of Canada as a whole, right? So you have to apply for the CAQ. Once you get that, then you have to use that for your application for the federal. And until you get that federal study permit, you cannot go to school. So there's also the timing of it as well with the processing. I think we're early enough on to where we don't have to worry about getting the study permit, like still waiting for the study permit while classes start where I'm supposed to be. You know what I mean? Like the timing of it, I think, is okay. Yeah, I guess part of me didn't want to talk about my personal experience because I didn't want to open myself up to have like this perceived public failure if things don't work out. You know what I mean? If I openly talk about it and I get excited about it and I think positively or expect that I'm going to get, the CAQ and the study permit and be excited for the classes starting and all of that kind of stuff. And if I let myself be excited about it, that's just setting me up to be disappointed, right? So it's kind of like the angsty teen. If you never expect anything good, then you can never be disappointed, right? But that just robs you of so much joy. And that's something I'm trying to work on right now in therapy and journaling and that kind of thing. I'm trying to figure out how to sit in the middle of that and be grateful and happy and excited for the things that I've accomplished so far, but not see that as a threat to be excited. Like it's like somehow if I do get a no for the CAQ and the study permit, that it's going to hurt worse if I was excited, right? Like it's further to fall. Yes. It's further to fall if I was excited and happy about it, right? So if I'm just already at ground level, not expecting it and not being excited, not being happy, not looking forward to it, then I can't be as let down. But that's like an illusion. That's like an illusionary, false, unhealthy mindset that I am working on. But at the same time, that's what it is. That's what I'm dealing with, right? That's what I'm trying to heal from. So yeah, part of me didn't want to open up about my situation and talk about it because if things don't work out, then I got to get on here and say that they didn't work out. I'm not going to go into the nitty gritty of every little thing, but talking about the specifics and how I feel and just publicly stating like, hey, I'm going for something sets me up for potential failure in the public eye or something. Like I want to stay quiet about it. I want to hide it away. I want to tuck all of my achievements away. I don't want to be public about anything. I don't want to share my experience because if things don't work out, if I don't get the study permit and I can't go to classes, then I got to get on here and tell y'all that I'm back at square one. And that's not a good feeling. That's not something that I would necessarily want to do. But at the same time, that's real and that's life and that's genuine. So why should I be afraid to talk about it? Because what if it goes right? What if it does go right? Then I can be a source of hope for people, a source of maybe some sort of mirror so that people can know that they're seen and heard in their experience if you're doing something similar to this or whatever, and you have to be away from your family for a long period of time. Like I see you and I feel you. I just want to provide comfort and support, and that's the whole point of this channel, is to provide comfort and support. How can I possibly do that if I don't open myself up? If I continue to be afraid and scared of showing my life, how can I possibly and truly comfort and support other people going through the same thing? The whole point of this channel is to get back to myself, do the things that I genuinely love to do, and help people. There's no way I can do that without being vulnerable. And here's the deal. This can go one of two ways. I could either be in classes with my permit by this fall, or I'll be back in the States and figuring out some other way. Obviously, I would prefer the first option. I would prefer if I was able to be here and go to class and actually attend the university I was accepted to. And that's another thing. I feel like I can't even really be happy, and proud of myself for my acceptance, because I feel like just being accepted, right, to a program in another country is a feat all in itself. And I did that. And I'm super proud of myself, but I feel like I just don't give myself enough props for it. I had to write 3, I think, academic style essays. I had to write a thesis proposal. I've never done that shit before. I had to do a lot of shit that I've never done before, and I still got that shit. I did that shit, dude, and I got that acceptance. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you think about it that way, it's easy to see it then, but when you're in the weeds of all of the, like, yeah, I got the acceptance, but by fall time it could all have been for nothing, right? That's what I'm dealing with. I did all of the things. That was a month and a half, 2 months of consistent work all in itself there just to be able to apply. And so in my head back then, it was, if I could just get this acceptance, I would feel okay. If I could just get this application done, I'll feel okay. If I could just get this acceptance, I'll feel okay. If I could just get to here, then I'll feel okay. That shit ain't real. That's not real at all. There's always going to be something that you're trying to just get to think that once you get there, it's going to feel okay, right? Even if I get my CAQ, I get my study permit, and I'm in classes, then it's going to be, okay, if I could just pass my classes, if I could just get there, I'll feel okay. I'm going to have anxiety about passing my classes and doing my projects and doing my shit. There's always going to be something to just get to. And as long as you live your life that way, you're never going to be able to just live in the uncertainty and unpredictability. And what if you switch it? What if you switch the anxiety of the uncertainty to excitement of the uncertainty? I have the opportunity to expand my career and move forward in my life, and I have a healthy partner who I'm happy with, and I, like, my cat's happier. Things are going so well, but at the same time, I'm dealing with the most uncertainty and the most unpredictable era of my life right now. And so it's like so many different emotions, from positive to negative, so many different emotions at the same time. You may not even be in the process of immigrating or trying to study or work in another country. You may not even be in that situation. Everybody's got things that they feel like if they could just have it, right? If they could just have more money, if their partner would just act right, if I could just have a different job, if I could just get to next year, if I could just, whatever it is, dude, if I could just lose 20 pounds, if I could just get there, right? If I could just get there, somewhere that's not here. Because here, you're basically telling yourself that here is not okay and here is not safe. You're basically telling yourself that the moment is not enough. And as long as you keep telling yourself that, you're never going to learn how to live in peace while riding the waves of life. Because the waves will come. When I was little, my mom always gave me analogies of life that expressed powerlessness. One of the analogies that my mom would tell me is that, life is just you on a big boat in the middle of the ocean, and when storms come, you just got to hang on to the boat and just hang on for dear life until the storm's over. Just hang on until the storm's over. Another one she always mentioned to me is that life is going to throw baseballs at you. Like those, launchers, like those baseball launchers that people use to help, train or whatever, baseball players use to train. It's like the automated ones that throw balls at you. It's like life is going to throw baseballs at you. And your job is to dodge the baseballs. Dodge them. So for the boat analogy, it's like, why not tell your child, you're on a boat in the middle of the ocean and a storm comes. What do? What can we do to lessen the blow? What can we do to make sure that the boat stays as intact as possible? We're going to take some hits. We might have to roll with some waves here. There might be some water that gets in the boat we got to deal with, but we got our bucket. We're ready for that. If some water gets in the boat, we can adjust the sails just so that maybe the boat doesn't rock as much with the wind. We can maybe drop the anchor so that we stay, Like what? There's no resourcefulness. I was not taught resourcefulness, or that I have the ability and the power to maybe not change the situation, but change the way that it affects me, or change the way that I react to it, change the way that I see the world or see the situation. So for the longest time, I have always just survived. And survival to me looks like, when there's a situation, laying in bed all day on YouTube, TikTok, whatever it is, with the curtains closed, not facing the world until the problem is solved or the problem is over. For the first time in my life, I have the autonomy and the ability to implement better habits and to implement better ways to take care of myself through triumph and trial and challenges that come in life. And for the baseball analogy, why not teach your kid how to develop more confidence so that maybe they can hit the ball and hit a fucking home run, baby? You know what I'm saying? Like, why not teach your child how to hit the ball? Hit it back. Why do we have to just sit here and dodge? Why can't I try to swing back? It's like if two people are boxing and you tell the person to just not get hit. Why not teach them how to hit? At least for me, that's how I see things. Learning to live with uncertainty while things are up in the air. How do we, while we're untethered and floating and we're up in the air, right? That feeling of anxiety and not knowing where things are going to go. Not having a way to predict how life is going to be. We never know how life is going to turn out. We don't know anything. We don't know. We can plan for scenarios A, B, and C. And that's a smart thing to do. If things go this way, then here's our next steps, if that. There's ways to prepare for potential scenarios, but we never really know what the hell is going to happen in life. We just can't. Thinking that you can control that, or thinking that you can control what happens and when it happens, oh my God, that's going to put you in a fucking hole. Let me tell you, because I tried to do that for a long time. And that just doesn't work. You can feel like you're in control, but it's an illusion. Life is going to happen the way that it's going to happen. And your job is to figure out how you are going to ride the waves. How are you going to ride the waves? Not everybody has everything go right all the time in their life. So why do I put the pressure on myself to constantly have everything always go right? Or go the way that I wanted it to. Because just because something happened that you didn't want to happen does not mean that it's a bad thing. Oh, Lord have mercy. I've learned that in my life. There are a lot of breakups that I've been through where I thought I was gonna die. I thought I was done. I thought that was the only one for me. Anyway, I just wanted to provide a space for people who are going through the same and dealing with a lot of emotions. Maybe you're separated from your family, and it's scary. How you doing, Bubs? Oh, he's dead. He's asleep. I think I hear him snoring too. Something I've been talking about in therapy a lot is learning how to stay in the driver's seat, even with the anxiety, even with the uncertainty, right? My walks, making sure I'm feeding my body right, more healthy foods, and it's not perfect, obviously, but for the most part, I've been doing a killer-ass job with that. Creating things, being creative, letting myself make things that aren't perfect, and just being a genuine human being, opening myself up to my community, and just being a real human being, and just living my life for once in my life, actually living and not just surviving day to day. And also distancing and putting up boundaries and separating myself from people who are sources of negativity. Holy shit. I play video games, I'm online a lot, I'm on Twitch, whatever. I meet a lot of people online, so I interact with a lot of people online. And something that I wasn't very good at in the beginning is deciphering who is safe to interact with and who is not safe to interact with. Putting up boundaries with certain people who are not in a place in their life to be taking the steps forward out of a hole, but who are more comfortable sitting at a rock bottom or sitting in the funk and sitting in it. And I'm not judging because I have been there and I probably will be there periodically throughout the rest of my life. So it's not a way to say that I am doing better than other people or that I have some sort of superiority complex. I'm just saying that I've been doing a better job with putting up those boundaries and not feeling like a bad person for disconnecting peacefully and removing myself from environments that fester negativity and fester negative energy, because I can feel that shit, dude. And there are certain people that I come across and I feel that shit. And I like trying to help people, right? I like trying to be there for people and comfort people and be a source of maybe support and just human connection for people who are in a funk. Because like I said, I've been there before. I've been low. So I know what it's like to be there. However, there's a difference between being somewhere and going through something and being comfortable sitting in the funk. You have to be able to decipher people who are sitting in funk from people who are going through something and need support. That has been one of the biggest things that has changed in my social life. And that has, honestly, I feel lighter most days. I don't feel as heavy. I'm not concerned with the opinions of other people as much. Also, something I'm still working on. I used to be so concerned about what other people thought. Oh my God, I was so concerned. I can overthink what I said and how I said it in social situations. And I fear, that people think that I was intentionally trying to be mean or that I was rude or cold or whatever. That I still struggle with. I struggle with thinking or worrying about what other people think in that way. In other ways, I've healed from that. It really just depends on the situation. So yeah, I just feel like all in all, I've been developing better habits for myself to be more forward thinking and healthy in how I get back in the driver's seat and do things for myself to take care of myself. I didn't grow up doing that. I didn't learn how to do that growing up, and so I'm learning how to do it now. Not being on TikTok as much. My screen time on TikTok, I think I get on TikTok for maybe 10 minutes a day. I'm not even kidding. I don't like being on TikTok as much anymore. I just feel like it's another place that just festers whatever the hell it wants to throw at me, which is I just don't like the gamble aspect of it, to where you're just scrolling, you never know what it is you're going to see next. And for a long time that was comforting, that was addicting, right? Is because it's sort of a gamble. You never know if the next video is going to be the funniest thing you've ever seen in your life or the saddest thing or whatever. But that emotional rubber banding, putting myself, especially as soon as I woke up, I was at a point in my life where as soon as I woke up, I was on TikTok looking at my phone, and I didn't even give my brain a chance. I didn't even give myself a chance to figure out how the hell I felt. How do I feel? What dreams did I have? Does my body hurt anywhere? Did I sleep wrong on something, right? How do I feel? What are my plans for the day? What do I want to do today? I just never gave myself the chance to even think about stuff like that. I would just immediately get on TikTok as soon as I opened my eyes, y'all. And it was a way to run away from the discomfort I was feeling. And it was a way to distract myself. And that always fucks me up for the rest of the day. Always. That is not natural. That is not a natural dynamic to be happening. When I realized just how much that was fucking me up throughout the day and setting me up for failure, as far as having a healthy nervous system, as soon as I realized that, I was like, damn. Anyway, I just wanted to emphasize that if you're dealing with any amount of uncertainty in your life and you are trying to get through each day, not knowing how things are going to go, not knowing what the hell is going on, you are absolutely loved, you are absolutely seen, and you are absolutely not alone at all. At all. Our situations can feel really isolating. They can feel like we're the only ones dealing with it because everybody else, especially if we're on social media, all we see is everybody else doing better than we are. Social media is just a highlight reel of all of the things that people choose to share. What about all the things that people aren't choosing to share? That's real life. That is real life. I just felt called to tell you that today. and you don't have to hide, you don't have to sugarcoat things, you don't have to act like everything is fine here. Talk about it. We're here for you. So anyway, I love y'all. I will see you in the next video. I'm planning to do an updated makeup, no tapping, no talking video soon, because I know a lot of the comments on that video, people are definitely wanting more ASMR in that realm, that kind of ASMR. I'll be making more videos like this. I'm planning to go to the park soon as it's better weather, because it's been raining and shit, and I'm not trying to bring this camera out there. And yeah, I will see you next time. Hang in there. You're not alone. You are very loved. And life is crazy. Ride the wave, bitch. So I came out here to do a video in the park, like I said I was gonna do. And I don't know if you can hear the wind, but it is so windy. It is genuinely so windy out here. So I don't know if this is gonna work today, but I wanted to give proof that I actually came out here and did this shit. I forgot the windscreen. And guess what else I forgot? What? My phone. So I can't even see shit right now. We live and we learn.